People have been chasing this question for centuries. What makes a good life? Not just a long life, not just a successful one, a good life, a meaningful life. And here's what's beautiful. After decades of research, I'm talking about scientists, psychologists, and universities spending lifetimes studying human happiness. The answers they found are simple. Not easy, but simple. Let me tell you what they discovered. You know, we live in a world that keeps telling us the secret to happiness is out there somewhere. In the next paycheck, the next promotion, the next shiny thing we can hold in our hands. But after all these years, after all the studies, all the searching, the truth is a lot simpler. It's not about what you have, it's about who you have. There's this incredible study that began all the way back in 1938. Harvard University followed over 700 men, tracking their entire lives, their health, their marriages, their careers, their joy, and their pain. Decades passed, generations changed. Some of those men went from dirt poor neighborhoods to boardrooms. Others never made it out of the struggle. And after 80 years of questions, of data, of watching people live and die, the answer came back crystal clear. The happiest people weren't the ones with the biggest houses. They weren't the ones whose names everyone knew. They were the ones who loved and were loved in return. The ones who built bonds strong enough to outlast the storms. The ones who had somebody they could call in the middle of the night and say, I need you. See, loneliness doesn't just hurt your heart. It hurts your body. It eats away at your spirit. Research shows it can damage your health as much as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Think about that. We spend so much time trying to eat right, exercise, take care of ourselves. But how often do we take care of our relationships? How often do we stop and really listen to someone? The truth is, connection is medicine. Real human connection. The kind that doesn't need filters or followers. You've got to love people. And you've got to show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. Because love isn't proven in comfort, it's proven in sacrifice. It's proven when you forgive even when you're hurt, when you choose to understand instead of walk away. And here's the hardest part. You've got to let yourself be loved. That's where so many of us struggle. We build walls, we hide behind pride. We say, I don't need anybody. But the truth is, we all need somebody. We were built for connection. No one makes it alone, and no one's supposed to. So success is fine. Money, it can buy comfort, it can open doors. But relationships, those are what make life worth walking through. The laughter around the dinner table, the friend who tells you the truth when you don't want to hear it, the hug that says, you're not alone. That's the real wealth. So maybe tonight call your mom. Text that friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Tell that person who stood by you when you didn't deserve it, thank you. That's not weakness. That's wisdom, because in the end, it's not about the things you own. It's about the hearts you touch. That's the secret, always has been. Once you know who you have in your life, the next question becomes a little deeper. Why are you here? What's driving you? What gets you out of bed in the morning when everything in you wants to give up? Because when you have a why, you can survive almost anyhow. You can go through the pain, the confusion, the long nights, and still keep moving because you know there's something on the other side worth fighting for. There's a story I always think about. Viktor Frankl, a man who lived through the Holocaust. He lost everything, his family, his freedom, his future. But in that darkness, he found something powerful. He discovered that the ones who made it through weren't necessarily the strongest in body. They were the ones who had a purpose, a reason, a vision of something or someone waiting for them beyond the suffering. That's what kept them alive. That's what purpose does. It gives the soul fuel when everything else runs out. Now, purpose doesn't always look grand or glamorous. It's not always about standing on a stage or leading a movement. Sometimes it's as simple as being the one steady hand in a chaotic world. Maybe your purpose is raising your children with love so they grow up knowing they matter. Maybe it's mentoring a young person who's lost, showing them what's possible when everyone else gave up on them. Maybe it's creating something beautiful, a song, a story, a painting that touches somebody's heart. Or maybe it's just making one corner of this world a little brighter because you passed through it. We live in a time where people confuse purpose with popularity. But purpose isn't measured by followers or fame. It's measured by impact. by the quiet difference you make when nobody's watching. You don't need a platform to live on purpose. You just need intention. You just need heart. Because purpose gives life weight. It's what keeps you grounded when everything around you is shaking. Without it, you can have all the success in the world, the money, the house, the applause, and still feel empty. There are people at the top of the mountain who are miserable because they climbed the wrong one. They chased achievements without asking, does this feed my soul? When you live with purpose, even the smallest moments feel meaningful. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every bit of effort poured into something bigger than yourself. That's purpose in motion. That's what turns ordinary days into sacred ones. So ask yourself, what drives you? What breaks your heart enough to make you want to do something about it? Because that's where your purpose is hiding. Not in what you gain, but in what you give. When you find that, life stops being something you just survive. It becomes something you live. You know, in this world, it's easy to get caught up in what we don't have. The car we wish we drove, the job we think we deserve, the life that looks better on somebody else's screen. We scroll, we compare, and before we know it, we've forgotten just how much we already have. But gratitude, real, honest gratitude, has the power to change that. It can turn an ordinary day into something sacred. It can take a small, quiet moment and make it shine. There's a reason people talk about gratitude journals these days. It's not just some new age trend or something nice to post online. It's because it works. Scientists at UC Davis studied people who practiced daily gratitude, who took a few minutes every day to write down what they were thankful for. And what they found was powerful. Those people slept better. They felt more optimistic. They got sick less often. They even felt more alive. See, gratitude doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you live. Gratitude shifts your focus. It whispers, I may not have everything I want, but I've got more than enough to be thankful for. That shift, that's freedom. Because when you stop chasing every shiny thing the world dangles in front of you, you start seeing the treasures already around you. You start realizing that happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from wanting what you have. When you wake up in the morning and that sunlight hits your face, that's a gift. When someone loves you for who you are, flaws, scars, and all, that's a blessing. When your body still lets you move, breathe, work, laugh, that's wealth right there. We overlook it because we're waiting for something bigger. But the truth is, life's biggest blessings usually wear ordinary clothes. I remember meeting a man once who had lost almost everything, his job, his home, even his health. But he looked me in the eye and said, I'm still grateful. I asked him how he could say that after everything he'd been through. He smiled and said, because I woke up this morning. Because I can still feel the sun. That hit me. Gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It just refuses to let pain be the whole story. Every time you give thanks for your family, your friends, your food, your breath, you take power back from the world. You say, I choose joy anyway. And that's what gratitude really is. It's a choice, a discipline, a way of seeing. When you start counting your blessings, you realize you've been rich all along, not in money, but in moments, not in possessions, but in peace. Because gratitude doesn't just make life better, it makes you better. Life has a way of testing every single one of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or how carefully you plan your path. At some point, you're going to get knocked down. You'll face moments that shake your confidence, moments that make you question if you've got what it takes. You'll fail, you'll fall, you'll stumble so hard it feels like you can't get back up. But hear me when I say this, that's not the end of your story. That's just the chapter that's building your strength. That's where growth begins. See, growth is the bridge between who you are right now and who you're becoming. It's the process that shapes you, molds you, refines you. We like to think success is a straight line, from point A to point B, from dream to reality, but it's not. It's messy, it's uneven. It's full of detours, disappointments, and hard lessons that don't make sense until years later. There's a psychologist named Carol Dweck who talks about something called a growth mindset. It's the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your potential, they aren't fixed. They can be developed. They can be strengthened. You can learn, stretch, and evolve. That means when you fail, it doesn't define you. It teaches you. When you fall, it doesn't end you. It prepares you. Every challenge, every setback, every mistake you make is a classroom if you're willing to learn the lesson. Think about it. The strongest steel has to go through the hottest fire. Diamonds are just coal that refuse to stay buried. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard came from someone who kept going when most people would have quit. They took their pain and turned it into power. They took their losses and turned them into lessons. That's what growth looks like. But growth isn't comfortable. It's not supposed to be. You can't stay in the same place and expect to become someone new. Growth asks you to step into uncertainty, to let go of who you were so you can become who you're meant to be. And that's scary, I know, but that's also where the magic happens. I've seen people turn their biggest failures into the foundation for their future. A business that fell apart became the start of a new calling. A heartbreak turned into self-discovery. A rejection opened the door to something greater. Sometimes life has to break you open to show you what you're really made of. So don't run from the hard times. Don't fear the struggle. The good life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about becoming more through it. Because growth, real growth, is not about what you gain, it's about who you become along the way. Keep walking, even when the road gets rough. Keep learning, even when you feel lost. Keep growing, because that's how you bridge the gap between the person you are and the person you're destined to be. At some point in life, you start to understand that the real measure of a good life isn't what you collect along the way, it's what you give back. You can chase the titles, the money, the recognition, but none of it will fill that quiet space inside you that longs for meaning. That space can only be filled by something deeper, by faith and by giving. Those two things complete the circle. Faith grounds you. It reminds you that you're not the center of the universe, that there's something greater guiding all of this. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but you can feel it when you're still long enough to listen. Faith is that whisper that says, keep going when the world is falling apart. It's what gives you courage to take the next step even when you can't see the road. It's not about religion or ritual. It's about trust. Trust that your life has purpose. Trust that your struggle has meaning. Trust that even when doors close, something better is being prepared for you. But faith alone isn't the whole story. You see, giving, that's what keeps you human. Giving turns faith into action. It takes the belief that life is a gift and turns it into a blessing for someone else. You can measure success by what you earn, but you measure significance by what you give. Because success fades, money runs out. But the impact you leave, that lasts. That's what people remember when your name is no longer in lights. Every act of kindness matters. Every moment you choose compassion over comfort. Every time you stop to lift someone when it would have been easier to walk away. That's legacy. It doesn't have to be grand gestures. Sometimes it's a word of encouragement at the right time. Sometimes it's showing up when no one else does. Sometimes it's giving your time, your attention, your heart. Those small things, they echo. They ripple out far beyond what you can see. I once heard someone say that your life is not measured by the duration of your years, but by the donation of your days. That stuck with me. Because every day you wake up, you're given a choice to take or to give, to hold or to release, to live small or to live for something greater. When you start living to give, something changes inside you. The world looks different. Your problems don't shrink, but your heart grows bigger than them. And when it's all said and done, when your story is finished, people won't talk about how much you had. They'll talk about how much you gave, how you made them feel, how you made their load a little lighter. Faith keeps you rooted, giving keeps you alive, and together they complete the circle, a circle of purpose, of love, of a life well lived. After all the studies, all the books, all the experts and statistics, after every decade of searching for the answer to what makes life good, the truth was never locked away in some laboratory. It wasn't waiting behind the gates of a mansion, and it wasn't hiding in a corner office or buried in a bank account. The real secret, it's been right here all along, right here in your hands, in your heart, in the small, quiet choices you make every single day. The ones nobody claps for, the ones nobody posts about. That's where a good life is built. See, people spend their whole lives chasing something. Success, status approval. But the older you get, the more you realize it's not about what you chase. It's about what you cherish. It's about who you love, how you live, and what you leave behind. Life is not a race to be won. It's a gift to be opened. Every morning you wake up is another chance to open it the right way. Love deeply. That means love when it's easy and love when it hurts. Love the people who stand beside you, but also love yourself enough to forgive your own mistakes. Don't be afraid to say, I love you, and don't wait for perfect moments. There's no such thing. Love is what gives your life color, even in black and white seasons. Live with purpose. Don't just exist. Don't drift through your days waiting for something to happen. Be the thing that happens. Wake up knowing that you matter, that your voice, your work, your kindness can make a difference. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you live. Be grateful. I mean, truly grateful. Because gratitude turns what you have into enough. When you learn to thank life for both the sunshine and the storms, you realize every single thing, even the hard stuff, has shaped you. Gratitude opens your eyes to the blessings that have been right in front of you the whole time. Keep growing. Never stop learning. Never stop stretching. Life's not about perfection. It's about progress. Every fall teaches you something. Every setback grows your strength. The moment you stop growing, you start shrinking. So keep moving forward, even if it's one small step at a time, and give back. Because the good life isn't about how much you take with you. It's about how much you leave behind. Give your time. Give your compassion. Give your heart. When you lift someone else, you rise too. If you do these 5 things, love deeply, live with purpose, be grateful, keep growing, and give back, I promise you this: when you reach the end of your story, you won't be asking, did I make it? You'll smile, take a breath, and say, I lived it. So don't wait, don't hesitate. Go out there and live a good life.